All right. Hello, everybody. Sorry about that. I didn't even realize that it was showtime already. Anyways, looks like three of you are in here now. That's good to go to get us started. You just gotta check, do something real quick here. All right, got the YouTube side muted so that we're not quote unquote talking over each other. Okay, so at least according to the YouTube screen, it looks like there's three of us in here, so that's good to go. Um, Hold on a sec here. Alrighty then, back to live there. So, how are you guys doing tonight? Let's see who comments first. See who's in here, and if one person left, I guess. I guess we had some people lurking about in here. All right, so yeah, so it looks like I guess people are looking about in here. Oh, Action Toy Channel. Hmm. Oh my God! Twitter just sent me an email. They unsuspended my original Twitter account. Oh yeah, your Twitter account, your original Twitter account had been suspended. ATC for how long? For how long was it suspended? Months. Yeah. Well, I don't have to deal. I don't have to worry and deal with Twitter anymore because I got off of it last December. So, um, I still will once in a while peek in there, because even if you're not on Twitter, apparently you can. I guess unless for the most part, unless they're protected or someone like that. If you're off Twitter, then they can't block you from seeing what. I mean, you may not be able to respond to what they're saying, um, but you can at least see what they're saying. So, um, okay, just give me a sec here. Yeah. So, okay. Yeah, and I can use that stop cam feature. Yeah. Okay. So I can give you guys kind of a quick update on what's going to probably be going down tonight. Albeit I'll wait to actually execute it a few more minutes here, probably 10-minute mark or something like that. Basically, I was apparently there wasn't a whole lot of big news over the weekend. I do know DC Fandom was going on, but Bounding into Comics didn't have any articles up on it yet. So let's see. Like the one thing I am going to probably talk about tonight is a little thing that went on, I guess, between Hiro Hay and Monica Rial and some of her people over his coverage of her being announced, Funimation announcing the dub and her being announced as Uzaki-chan. There's a little blow up over the weekend. Apparently, she went after Hirohei a little bit, and you know, he just mocked her. So, so that I'll also kind of go over like some of what I did over the weekend. You guys might have seen that I did have I did record and publish two videos over the weekend. My latest VA profile on Clint Bickham, and also my latest in series Squared Circle Calendar from September 1975. So I might go over a little bit of that. You know, some of that, just see where the conversation goes in there. Of course, we may kill some time with some niche talk as well. Depending upon where and how the conversation goes, and then of course at the very end, of course, this day in niche history. So I think you guys know, and that as of yet, but I haven't heard anything back. I don't expect to hear anything back. Chances are I won't have a guest for you guys on Friday. Sorry about that. If I don't, then of course I'll open it up for you guys to join in on the with me. I am gonna try to get somebody for next Friday. I haven't basically. I know a lot of people are busy right now, or just kind of getting back in the swing of things. Like I know Tug, Tug is trying to get back in the swing of things with his streams. Um, let's see, Hirohei hasn't been streaming at all lately. Neither has Sammy or a few others. So I'll probably, and I got a few ideas for. I am gonna try to get somebody for next Friday, the 25th. Um, so stay tuned for that. Um, excuse me one more time here. And even though I found that I can stop the mic and just put my avatar up, I like being in person. You know, um, you know, um, eh, let's see now. Oh, 8 minutes. So 2 minutes ago. Um, so anybody want to tell me how their weekend went? Like what they did over the weekend and stuff like that? Got a couple minutes. So ATC, you gonna be lurking? You gonna be more lurking tonight? Oh, we got a fourth person in here. Hello, fourth person. Four people watching now. Good. Um, nice to see. Just checking out my old account. All right. Woody, hi. I'm lurking. I saw anonymity and Batgo are on Tug Stream now. Okay. Hopefully they'll get over here at some point. Yeah, I went there for like a few minutes, and then I just talking about his neighbors getting murdered. I really didn't feel like listening to anything like that. You know, so I just figured that so I was focusing on preparing show tonight, albeit just kind of remind the people who are in here, and some of the people who just got here. Um, Here's what's on tap for tonight, basically, and then I'll get into it after I just do this little refresher reminder. Um, I didn't find any like major news stories. I'm bounding into comics. I won't be going over any articles tonight. I know DC Fandom. Let's see what it lost a lot of followers, but it's better than what the new one has. Yeah. Well, yeah, I could see that happen. I mean, after all, if your if your account is suspended or inactive, yeah, people are not gonna. They're just gonna figure, oh, we'll just go to the new one. So that's par for the course. So anyway, so yeah, so the one thing I am going to talk a little bit about tonight is a little bit of a stir up that happened between Hirohei and Monica Rial. A little bit of a twit fight. Twitter fight. Twit fight. Um, you know, um, as we covered a bit last week, and as we covered last week a little bit, and I know Hirohei also mentioned it. How Monica got cast as Uzaki, um, got cast as English voice at Uzaki, and Uzaki Chun in Funimation's dub. Uzaki Chun wants to hang out. So apparently, some of her more devout followers, like underdog, like BT Underdog, decided to go out to Hirohei for his coverage of it. Once again, start, and then Monica sat there and tells everybody, yeah, don't just trust the YouTubers, don't just trust the YouTubers. Go and read the documents yourself. Go and read the documents yourself. Um, well, I think most of us have read the documents on some level or another. First off, whether we read them independently or read them along, because as Hirohei pointed out, he actually did do a live stream in which he did read the documents, and so did Nick. And I think just a number of the major YouTubers that we know of, you know, Hero Hay, Tug, Yellow Flash, Nick Ricada. I think even Sammy. They all read it over and went over it, and then of course, many of us, I think, if we didn't read it independently, we read it along with them. So to accuse us of not reading the documents is kind of lame on her part. Okay. Um, so now the TCPA appeal scheduled for 1 week from tomorrow. Now, as Nick reminded us, chances of an actual ruling coming out on that day is very unlikely. As I understand it, as Nick explained it, basically all the paperwork has to be. They're going to be reviewing all the paperwork that was submitted on that day. So a week from tomorrow is when the appeal, and it looks like we lost a person or two. Ah, uh, Dave's here. Dave Mark. Hey, Dave. Let's see. I still have several PDF docs saved onto my phone. Um, hello, by the way. Hey, Dave. Okay. Yeah. Basically, as I was talking about, I was talking. you probably just heard me talking about Monica Real going after Hirohei again, claiming people aren't reading the court documents. But as I was pointing out, I think most of us have read them in some form, either independently or read along when like a number of the YouTube guys were reading them on their streams. Let's see what Woody has to say here. Twitter, the free speech wing of the free speech party. Remember that? More like the pants on fire wing of the liar party. Yeah, social media as a whole kind of unfortunately, it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny. Social media platforms like Facebook and Twitter, and even here on YouTube, they accuse President Trump of being Adolf Hitler, but the ones who are really acting like Hitler, who, from an ideological standpoint, are more akin to Adolf Hitler, are 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 those social media platforms. The people at Facebook, people at Twitter, the people on YouTube, people on Amazon, and whatever other social media platform you think of. The hard left, they're the ones who are truly more akin to Adolf Hitler. They're the Hitler wannabes, as I call them. So, kind of the irony of all that. But with that being said, let's get back to what I was talking about with the TCPA hearing. As I was mentioning, of course, we already, most of us have read the documents in some form, either independently or along with, the other YouTubers when they were streaming it. So, but as I was saying, though, um, what's going to happen next week is the next a week from tomorrow, Tuesday, September the 22nd, is when they're going to review all the paperwork that's been submitted to them. They're going to review everything that's submitted to them, and then according to Nick, there'll most likely be a ruling sometime in the next 20 to 60 days. So as Nick noted, in his stream last week, reviewing everything, everybody's getting a little antsy about it. We see the appeals date coming. Everybody's getting antsy. As Tug pointed out, it's not just a battle in the courts, but it's also a battle of hearts and minds. It's that whole idea that Kick Vic wants people to believe their narrative. And I know you guys probably saw a few weeks ago how again they went after him at UltraCon for not practice. Oh, you want to make everybody sick with COVID? All that the next thing. Um, you're not practicing social distancing. You're not wearing a mask. And Vic said it best on his Unlocked stream. He believes in freedom. We're all mature, intelligent adults capable of of analyzing the risk and benefits of our behaviors, good or bad. Okay. We still end up at times making the wrong decisions, because we're human. But whether or not we choose to wear a mask, that's for us to decide. And no government entity has a right to mandate that we wear a mask. Not that I want to get into the whole thing. Everybody has their own point of view on it. I get that. And everybody is free to their own, is free to their own opinion. Again, I don't really like the idea of getting too overly involved, in the politics on here, because we got enough people, doing mainstream coverage or doing like I've noticed that like over the throughout past 6 months or so, Tug and Yellow Flash have focused more and more on mainstream media, mainstream news. You know, Crow from Crow Judge has always had kind of a political bent in his coverage as well. Kind of political satire, um, which is okay. But a lot of times, there's a reason at times why they say you shouldn't talk politics with friends, and I'm sure many of us have learned why. We've seen the results of why that is. When you're talking politics, when you're talking. Well, even in that, I don't know if it's really completely accurate to just say we're talking politics. I think what we're talking about is ideological values. What do you value more? Do you value more the choice to make the choice for yourself? Or do you value the government coming in and making the choice for you? You know, do you believe that the government has a right to force you to pay more in taxes to supply things that they feel that even if you yourself do not partake in the public sector sense because it's like you know we have the way our tax system is set up. It's what they call a progressive tax system, which basically means the more you make, the more you pay in taxes. You know, um, but yeah, but it comes back to the idea of what are your values? What values do you hold dear? You know, do you believe that you are the one who should make the decision of what and how your kids are educated? Or do you believe that the government should tell you what, and how your kids should be educated? Whether or not you pay more or less in taxes, whether or not we allow an open door system to our country, or we believe we should close it off and to where we're not overrun with people who shouldn't be here. You know, but those are all questions that everybody has to face for themselves. Anyways, I know I kind of got off on a political, but the whole thing, as I said, not even really about politics. It's ultimately about ideological values. You know, cancel culture, social justice, way we run our government. It is kind of all interconnected. It's the thrust of their ambitions that drives that conversation. So that's ultimately what that all pans out to. And excuse me a moment, I'm going to go off camera for just a moment here. All right, I'm back, and as you guys saw, I did upload a my picture as my avatar. It's a picture you usually see as my avatar for most of my social media. My YouTube channel, my the StreamYard thing here. Um, you know, Um, but that's just me. I'm just pretty a wide open guy. Not really going out of my way to hide a whole lot. So, okay, we're just past the 25-minute mark. So that's good to see. Alrighty then. So I think I did talk a little. I talked a little bit about the whole Monica versus the whole Hero Hay versus Monica Real tidbit earlier. Um, so yeah. So and as I said, and Woody, I think you even saw my squared circle. Well, I know you commented on my squared circle calendar um, video. So you saw it? Did you watch the whole thing? For those of you who don't know, aside from the streams, I still am doing some profile video work as well. Two features I'm still working on, of course, is Voices Big and Small, the VA profiles, as well as kind of a chronological history starting from January of '75. I did September of '75 on Saturday, which I just kind of go over some stuff from history of professional wrestling. Okay. It's a shame that the appeals court is not allowing oral arguments. Yeah, I mean, albeit I think it's understandable. But even Nick said that that particular district isn't doing um, any live hearing or they're not doing any oral arguments at all. So use yes, I watched first. You did the AWA you did the AWA stuff nearly last. Well, yeah, there's kind of a pattern I generally go by to kind of understand the structure of the videos. First off, what you have to understand that. Well, Woody, I know you might understand this a little bit because you were probably watching it back in those times. Um, so back in '75, okay, the NWA was the NWA and the AWA were really the two main promotions. Okay, at least here in the states, and then there were like um, even what we know of today as the WWE. Okay, back in 1975, it was actually a part of the NWA. Now what the NWA was, it was a one big promotion that was basically that governed a bunch of smaller promotions. Okay. Now, the NWA board back then controlled the World Heavyweight, World Junior Heavyweight, World Women's, and the World Women's Tag Team Championship. These four world titles were the only in their respective classes, the only world titles recognized by the NWA as world. Now, you did have some organizations like for example Central States Wrestling and Mid Atlantic that would have like their own world tag team championships. Okay, that they recognize, but the four classes I mentioned: heavyweight, junior heavyweight, women's, and women's tag. Those four classes were exclusive to the NWA as a whole. That's why between when that's why when Vince McMahon Sr. brought the Worldwide Wrestling Federation back into the NWA in 1971, that's why the WWF heavyweight title once again became just the WWF heavyweight championship instead of the WWF World Heavyweight Championship. Because within the NWA, you could only there was only one World Heavyweight Championship, and that was in that was the NWA World, which at the time, of course, was held by Jack Briscoe. Okay, so now the thing is, though, as I said, the NWA and AWA to even kind of a lesser degree too. These were the two main organizations, and what they would do is that they would have, the NWA in particular would basically be, you'd have the NWA board that would control those four classes four title classes I was telling you about, and those champions would actually tour the country. They toured the country, they toured the whole world. They weren't stationed in any one area. Now, the NWA, and as I said, and AWA to a lesser degree, AWA to a lesser degree were comprised of smaller promotions. So a lot of the promotions, and like basically, like for example, the NWA among some of the promotions, but the internationally included like All Japan Pro Wrestling in Japan, up in Canada, Maple Leaf Wrestling in Toronto, Stampede Wrestling in Calgary, the Alberta Saskatchewan area, and Northwest Promotions in the British Columbia area, as well as a number of them here in the States, including, as I said, the Worldwide Wrestling Federation, World Wrestling Council, Mid Atlantic, Pacific Northwest, NWA Hollywood. All these were like affiliated with the NWA. I know Action Toy Channels just said something. How is everything tonight? How is everyone tonight? Well, I'm doing fine. um, yeah. So now NWA had several affiliates um, throughout the world. Howdy Action. Um, you know, um, you know, the NWA, they had territories all throughout the country. And of course, what happened is usually whoever the world heavyweight, world junior heavyweight, world women's, and world women's tag champions were, they would usually tour the country. They obviously wouldn't often be in the same territory at the same time, you know, as I would note in those reports, like you may have one of the champions touring the American Southwest, another maybe the Northeast, maybe somebody else up in Kent. That was kind of the thing that they went by. So let's see what else people are saying here, because it looks like, let's see. Good evening, Dave. Hope you're well. I'm full of Salisbury steak and mashed potatoes. They were just leftover burgers with gravy. I'm not. Man, you're gonna make everybody hungry telling us that, Dave. Man. But anyways, so yeah, so basically with the Squirtle calendar, it's kind of a historical retrospect. A lot of times, not much happens, or I can't find much happening. Um, but I will at least highlight some of the major rivalries going on and like who's being pushed towards the top in preparation um, for some of the later broadcasts. So you guys kind of have an idea, kind of follow along what's going on. Oh my God, I'm going through my remaining followers on Twitter, and Chuck Huber is a follower. um, Dave, I got rice, meat, veggies with beans. Mm. Yeah, so yeah. Now AWA also had some of its like AWA. Its primary affiliate was Dick the Bruiser's and Wilbur Snyder's World Wrestling Association, which was based out of Indianapolis. Um, Now, of course, now what many of you probably don't know is that the AWA was also at one point a part of the NWA. They were, you know, they were known as the Minneapolis Wrestling Club um, for a while there, but they were an NWA affiliate prior to 1960. It was in 1960 in a very similar situation that happened 3 years later between the NWA and the Worldwide Wrestling Federation, which a schism happened um, in which apparently Vern Gagne was the top contender to Pat O'Connor, who was the reigning world heavyweight champion at the time. Didn't get the title, and then decided to and felt a little slighted, so decided to split off from the NWA. They named O'Connor the world heavyweight champion to try to get him to come and defend the title, um, invoking what was back then the 90-day rule, which was a classic plot device used, which wrestlers had to defend their their heavyweight titles every 90 days, one at least once every 90 days. Invoking that, stripping O'Connor of the supposed AWA world title, and then having a tournament which Gagne won. Let's see what some of you, because I see there was a number of things. I guess we're said here. Okay, we already saw that. Chuck is a great guy. He follows a lot of folks. I got to see a lot of W. What do you mean by W there? Oh, I think Dave asked the same thing. W. See, NWA, WCW, house shows in Raleigh and Greensboro in later years. Oh yeah, well yeah. WCW was well. Let's see. Oh okay. Without the live house shows as pure television, it just isn't as fun. Well, yeah, I mean, sometimes on the house shows you get to see more of the technique involved because whereas on a TV show they're usually going up against enhancement talent, and there's usually well, that was before the dawn of Monday Night Raw and all that, but usually the weekend shows were pre-taped weeks before. um and you'd have a lot of enhancement talent, have wrestlers going up against. Hey, anonymity, it looks like you're here. Hey, hey, just finished eating, hanging outside with the pooches. Yeah, all right. Well, good to see you coming in, my friend. Um, Talking a little bit about wrestling history right now, just because I did one of my latest Squared Circle calendar episodes for September 1975. So, so yeah, so wow, yeah, we're over 40 minutes already. So, um, so yeah, so yeah, there were a lot of stuff going, but but getting back to the point I was about to make a few minutes ago, WCW was born basically with the merging of Mid Atlantic Championship Wrestling and Championship Wrestling from Georgia, which was started up after Vince McMahon bought out the TBS time slot from Georgia Championship Wrestling. And then when he didn't follow through on his promises to Ted Turner, that's when Turner got upset and decided to give a boost to not only Championship Wrestling from Georgia, but also invited Mid South Wrestling to better get back to anime. Yeah, I probably should. I just figured go over some of that stuff. Um, hey, just yeah, because there's more people in here who like anime and comics and wrestling. I get that, Woody. You have a good point there. Um, be right back. Yeah. So okay, so yeah, so I guess I will get back to I guess um sure if any of you who are into pro wrestling, if you want to watch the Square Circle calendars, you know where to find them. So yeah, so the other thing I did over the weekend here was I did my latest, of course, VA profile featuring Clint Beckham of the Houston-based voice actor. Um, he started with ADB in 2003, and then of course went along with Sentai for the probably the one role that most of you would probably know him from would be as Asami Aldini from or the English voice of Isami Aldini from Shogeki from Food War Shogeki no Soma. I got to catch up on God of High School. Yeah, you know, and yeah. Now I do try to stay away from those who might be kicked. I did research Clint Beckham. Beckham's another one of those voice actors who basically just goes out and just does his job. Think he appreciates the fanfare he does get. He's got kind of a lot of his own things going too, not just voice acting. But I also heard he's actually done some manga adaptations too. Shogeki no Soma, yeah, Food Wars. And I'll tell you something. Even when I've watched that show, um, man, watching that show will make you hungry. Sometimes it's like you almost wish you could just jump to that TV screen and partake in what they're making, right? Some of that stuff the animators did a good job animating food. When it starts making your mouth water as you're watching it on a TV screen, you know it's good animation, right? So yeah, um, so yeah, but Clint's a Houston-based voice actor. who works more or less just almost exclusively with with Sentai. In fact, it does kind of remind me back to what I was back to the very beginning when we were talking about like Hirohei versus Monica too, because that's another thing I went back. I checked up on back when she said, like, I don't know if you guys remember the deposit when they were showing the video depositions, Vic's and Monica's and Ron's. Um, Monica had actually stated during her deposition that Vic was actually banned from the Sentai building. Well, on the heels of that, and I even addressed this with Nick Ty on a super chat, and they said that he wasn't banned, and I saw no evidence. I saw nothing coming out of Sentai, nothing from what I researched um, suggested that he was bad or was on bad terms with anybody at Sentai. Now, mind you, there are people in that clique that we talk about, like Monica Rial, you know, and Monica Rial, and there are a number of Funimation voice actors who do double duty with Sentai. Okay, Monica Rial, the Ayers brothers, both Chris and Greg Ayers, Lucy Christian, um, Vic himself, of course, John Swayze. Um, but even some of them, I don't think. I know Greg said he'd had issues with Vic over his stance on homosexuality or whatever. But, anyways, I see that a number of you guys have started saying some more stuff here. So let's see what you guys are saying here. You ever just get a song in your head and have to listen to it to get it to stop taking up all thought processes? Um, that somewhat happened. Not as much listening to it. I've had songs get stuck in my head and sing, and just feel like I have to sing them. I've done that, Dave. Let's see. Chef Picks makes the food in videos and has a recipe book out with some of the good ones. Oh, that might be interesting. Maybe he'll invite us to a banquet or something like that. Whoever Jeff Picks is. Um, all the time, Dave. I wonder if there's a scientific study on the overwhelming song for them. I don't know if they would waste their time on that, Dave. Okay, the kick Vic side lying again. Ha ha ha! Imagine that. Well, yeah. Yeah. And going back to what I was talking about with Monica saying Vic was banned from Sentai and finding no evidence. Okay, I really did look. Back when I was still on Twitter, I examined several of the Houston based. Now, mind you, I focused more on the ones who were exclusively with Sentai, not the double dippers like Monica and Vic. I focused more on the ones who were like pretty much exclusive to Sentai. Okay. I found some very interesting things too. One, a few of them actually are still following Vic on Twitter. Few of them are, I know at least a couple of people, not a couple of people from Sentai. I know one person from Funimation who is pretty significant is also still following him. At least it's last time I checked, anyways. Um, but for the most part, those who are exclusively with Sentai, in other words, those who aren't double dipping with Funimation, they've all pretty much stayed quiet this whole time. Those who are exclusive to Sentai have basically stayed quiet. They haven't said anything in regards to Vic. It's only been a few of the double dippers that have really said anything, in regards to it. and a lot of it, of course, being negative. There are some of the double dippers who basically just try to stay neutral, just kind of just because even Nick pointed this out last week when he was going over when he was going over the updates too, or the kind of going over the review of the case and all that. A lot of them can't really just come right out and be fully supportive of Vic, because if they do, then they're gonna suffer some retaliation for it. They're gonna get some backlash. They could very well even get blackballed. So they can't, particularly those who are still working with Funimation, they can't really say anything. They have to kind of go along with the flow, you know. But I know of a lot of, I know of a few who basically just they haven't really said anything, and those who are exclusive to Sentai, um, have also just more or less remained quiet. Anyways, I see a number of you have commented in the last few minutes here, so let's let's take a look. And there were a lot of comments that came through here. So I was spewing all that off. So let's see. Let's see. Yeah, I saw that. And we knew about some of these here. That was a lot. That was probably the last. Oh, the kick Vic side line. That was the last one that I kind of keyed in on. So let's see. Turns out there was a scientific study. Reading now. Oh, you found it, huh? You went and found it there, Dave? Ha ha ha. It's just odd. I may have very mild OCD. Yeah, the funny thing is that the way they're marketing it now, everybody's they're gonna say everybody in the world has OCD or ADD or something like that. Man, YouTube is never going to fix a phone app. Well, yeah, there's a number of issues going on with YouTube right now. Anonymity. It's not just a phone app buffering. In fact, Nick even mentioned that on Friday as well. He even talked about it. I don't know if you guys have seen Deep Humor's coverage of this, but there's also the whole issue with the spam bots going on too, that they still haven't gotten around to fixing. Haha, Dave, we all have mild OCD. Sorry, back to the topic. Yeah, speech policing in work communities is absolutely a thing. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but much of their credit, I think, again, Sentai. I think it was a good thing Sentai stayed quiet, not trying to get too involved in the mess. Seems fine on my PC. Yep. The what bots? The spam bots. There's been some spam bots, some very suggestive. It all started with, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but like Anna Let's Get Acquainted channel. Probably where it all started with. In other words, what they'll do is they'll come on, they'll comment on your videos, they'll put a little timestamp in, then they'll link you to some website, that's supposed to be very adult suggestive. It's some kind of scam to try to get you to click it to where that's apparently what's going on. But they're back. Yeah, well, they're not just back, but Deep Humor's been covering them. Oh my God, just got called a simp for agreeing with that someone sounded sarcastic. Laugh out loud. I sat there, thought about thought about it and decided person wasn't worth my time. Yeah, you know something, ATC. That's one of the reasons why I got off. One of the reasons why I got off Twitter altogether, because I just felt like the stupidity and the grief wasn't really worth it to me. Okay, so I recently got a notification from a year-old YouTube comment. Some weirdo, possibly a bot, replied to everyone in the thread with, "What? How do you read that? UEI, UEI, UEI." Anyways, that sounds kind of lame. People calling people simps is like an 8-year-old's argument. Um, they're definitely not worth your time, Action Voice. In the end run, Twitter is not really worth anybody's time. And on it's silly, right? Oh, damn. Twitter in of itself is not worth it. Okay, it's one big headache that the faster you run away from it, the better your mental stability is going to be. It's just become a cesspool of the left's propaganda. So, yeah. So, and you know, now granted, since I haven't been on Twitter and I haven't been paying a whole lot of attention, um, I don't know too much of what's going on with anybody from Kick Vic. I don't really even care because it's not like I'm interacting with them, you know. So, because you realize after a while that arguing with them is just stupid. You know, it's not really worth your time. It's not really worth the stress and the headache over, you know. Hopefully Vic wins the appeals, and granted, it probably won't shut them up, but maybe it will. Hopefully, but we know more than likely it probably won't. They'll probably just say, well, yeah, that's the alt right, or yeah, that damn Texas, or whatever. Um, so yeah, so as part of my lineup tonight, I'm going to be starting to watch No Game No Life, so that should be interesting. That should be an interesting watch. Uh, I read up on it a little bit. Man, I'm full. That meal was the best. They're doing the same old SJW arguing with the same simple minded tactics. Yeah, so I'm probably not really missing anything, right? And it's with all social media, it's an input output, input equals output thing. I treat it mostly as a thing to look and laugh at. Occasionally post my thoughts and ignore BS. Yeah, I'm just not the type of person who can just can always ignore the BS. Good meal is the best. Never seen that one yet. Yeah. Oh, I highly recommend No Game No Life. Other than controversy behind the scenes, it's a great anime. Well, what do you mean by that, ATC? What controversy behind the scenes? I do know it's got a great opening theme because I've listened to it on YouTube before. Welcome to the digestion arc action. I thought a lot of yeah. So ADC, if you can kind of explain to me, because I hadn't heard anything about controversy regarding it, so you might have to fill me in a little bit on that. And I know nothing about it except it's a brother and sister gaming. Yeah, I did read up on that. Basically, a brother and sister gaming team trying to save the world from alien gamers is the gist of what I got from it. You know, the only possible controversy I could see anybody making any noise about is, if they're suggesting that No Game No Life has has some allusions in some form of like incestuous pedophilia or something like that. But I don't, I wouldn't think that. But they'll likely try to make that argument. I'm gonna hop over to Crow Stream. Thanks for hanging out, Mike. No problem, Dave. Thank you for hanging out. I'm just sorry. I'm just sorry that you're gonna miss the this day in each history. Um, but I guess you can always come back and watch it, later or something like that. But say hi to the guys for me. Let them know that I'm still got my stream going. But I'll see you later, Dave. Let's see. It was set for season 2, then got canceled when someone blatantly stole artwork, character designs from other anime. It destroyed the show, and the best it got from fan outcry was a movie. Ah, so that's the controversy, huh? So basically, what happened was they were going to do a season 2, but then somebody stole some artwork or character designs, and then they ended up settling for a movie on it. Hmm. Have a good one, Dave. Thank you for stopping by. And thank you guys for the likes and shares as well. That helps. Hopefully we can get more people on here sooner rather than later. Yeah. Oh, good old Steven. All right, well I'm gonna go off camera for just a moment, guys. Alrighty then. I'm back. Sora and Shiro are copies from other anime as well as others. Well, okay, let me ask you this, ATC. Are they actual copies or are they just simply archetypes? Because there are like anime, like a lot, like any media will use certain archetypes in both look and personality. Are they actual like copies? Or are they archetypes? Because if they're archetypes, then they shouldn't be considered. I mean, did they actually copy a specific character? Like I remember one of the stunts that some people in anti-comics gate tried to pull with Tug, right? Was claiming that the avatar for Tug was that, or for Lug was actually he stole that from another, and I'm actually watching the anime that they're talking about now too. It's the Blaze Blue Ultra Memory anime where I guess Lug's character does bear a resemblance to one of the Taoka in Blaze Blue, but is it an actual copy of a character or is it An archetype. Actual copies, the company got sued, money was exchanged. Hmm. An artist and another company sued the AHIW show. Okay. Oh yeah, Taoka. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. Well, when I see it, I'll see if I can see any resemblance to any characters I know, but because obviously anime has certain character types, certain archetypes that get used a lot. I mean, you look at a lot of harem anime. I mean, look at harem animes, right? You know, usually in harem anime, you got one guy living with three girls, and they're all disparately different. You have the domestic, usually a maid or somebody who likes to dress maid or somebody who likes doing like housework and all that. You might have the smart one, you might have an athletic one, or you might have the otaku, you might have like um intellectual. I mean, then it goes the same with reverse harem animes as well. You have archetypes. Still a great show. Yeah, sure that it is. Yeah, actually, and I know that No Game No Life was actually dubbed by Sentai, and like the next four Sentai titles I'm going to be watching. Well, No Game. I'm going to start with No Game No Life, and then Chaika, the Coffin Princess, and then the follow up Chaika, the Coffin Princess Avenging Battle, and Hamatora, and then Reply Hamatora. Well, the next like Sentai dubbed animes I'm going to watch. So as part of my Adult Swim lineup. Yeah. So wow. So we're we're just beyond the hour mark now. Um. Yeah. I guess now we're down to four people. Um. Yeah. I know Dave went over to Crow Stream. Still waiting for Gate season two, huh? Uh, American media play it down. Gate season two is going to be a big eye pick. Oh yeah, there is an anime called Gate, isn't there? Well, I've watched Steins Gate before. That one was pretty interesting. Steins Gate, along with like Chaos Head and then Robotics Notes. Those were some pretty good animes, all kind of interconnected. Oops. Oh well, that's probably something you guys didn't need to see. Sorry about that. Don't know if it will ever happen. I'm gonna go off camera for a moment here, guys. Yeah, we keep going back and forth between 4 and 5 people. That's cool. All right, so I'm coming back on now. Let's see what else has been. See what you guys have said since. Steins Gate is a mind f. If you can't follow it, laugh out loud. I had to correct people on the stuff that happened. Itami Yoji just wants his doji. Yeah. Well, yeah, I think Robotics Notes is probably the most quote unquote normal of the three anime because Chaos Head was pretty kind of out there too. You know, getting into the whole idea of how some otaku get fixated on 2D girls, saying that 3D doesn't do it for them anymore. So yeah, so has anybody seen Assassination Classroom? That one's kind of an interesting one. You know, with it being on Toonami and stuff, I've been watching it. Um, 2D girls are the best. It was great. Okay, I guess you meant to say great. Typos. Typos. What's the matter with your typos? Typos, typos, typos. What's so wrong with them? The ending, though, sorry, no spoilers. Waifus come in all forms. I haven't seen it, but I've seen a few of the fights. Yeah, I think girls in Chaos Head are pretty cute too. Oh, actually, already. So now we're coming on to the hour and 15 mark here. Um, so is there anything else you guys want to talk about? Anything else you guys want to bring up? Anything you guys want to ask? I have any comments on anything we talked about? I'd go off camera again for, oh, first off, let's see what, there aren't any real fights in Assassination Classroom. I'd call it sparring. Well, yeah, from what little I've seen thus far, the whole idea is that there's this alien creature who destroyed the moon and plans on destroying the Earth in a year. Um, so what they decided to do is they decided to place the fate of the world hands of basically the class of exiles, basically, um, to train them to try to kill the creature because what the creature wants to teach them as well. Um, so that's an interesting plot twist there. Um, oh yeah. The alien creature resembles an octopus. So yeah, trying to train your kids to assassinate a planet killer. That's kind of an interesting story in of itself. Space Ghost got released to Blu-ray and DVD. Uh, Space Ghost or Space Ghost Coast to Coast ATC. Not an alien. Was a human changed by the ghost. Okay, I just started watching the show, so I didn't know that yet. Uh like I think it's up to like what episode 4, the kid who was suspended for like a year or so comes back and basically really makes a real hard effort at trying to kill the teacher. Mm, sorry. Space Ghost and Dinoble. So the original Space Ghost series, then the original '60s cartoon. Okay, that's cool. Old time. That the guy who voiced Space Ghost for a long time was longtime radio announcer Gary Owens. He was the one who voiced Space Ghost in that. And then the funny thing is that the kid who voiced Dino Boy in Dino Boy, his name is Johnny Carson, but it's not the same Johnny Carson everybody you'd think of. It's not the late night television host. It's a different Johnny Carson who voiced Dino Boy. I haven't seen Space Ghost in years. Yeah, I think at this point, the only place you could, for a while there, Boomerang would have a lot of the older Hanna-Barbera cartoons on it, but now Boomerang's become more of a Cartoon Network kind of cast off. You know, only place you could see like cartoons like Space Ghost and Dino Boy and many of those other classics is on streaming sites. Go look for them. You want to go back and watch them again. So, oh, what? Okay, hey Woody. Let's see. Owens announced for Rowan Martin. Oh yeah, that's right. I know he did a number. Yeah, his voice was synonymous with announcing, so that doesn't surprise me. Okay, well we're at the hour and 20-minute mark here. So, are you guys ready for this day in Nietzsche history? Re- Yay! Ready? Yep. Okay. I got some interesting. I got three pieces of history tonight. Three. Three. I'm far behind apparently. All right. So let's get started. Well, today being, of course, Monday, September 14th, 2020. Let's take a look back at this day in Nietzsche history. I got three items for you guys tonight. They will find three items. And here's, of course, the first one. Now, Woody, you might know a little bit about this one because you seem to be somebody. Well, maybe, but I don't know. I'm just guessing. But let's. So on this date back in 1960, which was 60 years. Okay, maybe I'm making you a little too old. Sorry about that, Woody. Maybe because I was thinking since you said you were watching stuff in the 70s, maybe. But this is actually from back in 1960. Um, on this date in 1960, the cartoon Courageous Cat and Minute Mouse made its debut in syndication. Um, Courageous Cat and Minute Mouse were created by Batman creator Bob Kane as kind of a um, spoof to the, and many people would argue that many people would argue that Courageous Cat and Minute Mouse were one of the precursors to the campy live action Batman and Robin movie of the late 60s. This came out, so Courageous Cat and Minute Mouse made their syndicated television debut on this date in 1960, 60 years ago today. So, with that all being said, let's move on to the next piece of Nietzsche history here. Um, which brings us to the year 2005, 15 years ago today. On this date, 15 years ago today, the the 560th issue of Archie would go on newsstands on this date. Archie Comics would release onto newsstands the 560th issue of Archie. Archie, the 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 comic book Archie, ran from 1942 to I believe it was something like 2006. I believe it lasted a pretty long time. Probably going through periods where it was at times a monthly title to being a quarterly title, which meant every four times a year basically, or you know um, every 3 months. So seasonal title, whatever you want to call it, bi-monthly. So on this date in 2005, the 560th issue of Archie went on sale on newsstands. Let's see, Woody had. I was watching in the 60s, but not till maybe 62, 63. Okay, yeah. Yeah, my apologies, Woody. I inadvertently assumed you were pretty old, but that's okay too. But I guess as long as you don't have a problem with that. But yeah, well, 62 was when Courageous Cat and Minute Mouse came to an end. There were like I guess 135-minute episodes that were produced. Anyways, I gotta go off camera here for a moment, real quick. Guys. Alrighty then, back on camera here. Back on camera for the final. Of course, that happened in 2005, which was 15 years ago, by the way. So now to the oops, I went back to oopsie, I went back to the same thing. Oh boy. Now on to the final. As soon as I can remind myself of which one is it. Okay. So on this date 5 years ago, in 2015, one of the big news stories was Sting made his in-ring debut on Monday Night Raw on this day, 2015, 5 years ago today, in the lead up to the of his night of champions match. Um, Against I guess Seth Rollins, I believe is who he was facing. Um, in his first match on, actually had two matches on Raw. His first match on Raw had him facing his former WCW World Tag Team Championship partner, The Big Show, um, beating him by DQ. And then, due to what happened in that match, led to Sting teaming up with John Cena to defeat Seth Rollins and Big Show by submission when Sting got Rollins to tap to the Scorpion Deathlock, a la AKA Sharpshooter, um, AKA Wakagatami, as it's pronounced in Japan, I believe. Also on the night, the New Day opened up the show, retaining the WWE Tag Team Championship over former champions, the primetime players who were cashing in their their rematch clause. Also, Nikki Bella would retain the WWE Divas Championship by a DQ loss to Charlotte, while Sasha Banks beat Paige earlier in the night via submission. John Cena also wrestled twice in the night, having defeated Sheamus earlier in the night. So that's all that happened on this day in Niche history, guys. Um, so did you guys have fun tonight? I know I talked probably a little bit more about wrestling tonight, but I know Woody's, of course, more of a wrestling fan. I think ATC is a bit too, but sounds vaguely familiar. Yeah. Um, yeah. So, did you guys have fun tonight with the stream? I know I didn't have any major articles. The only thing I was able to talk about was the whole thing between Monica and Hero Hey, but that was still pretty good, fun thing to talk about. Of course, was fun. Thanks, Mike. No problem. All right, guys. With all that being said, then I'm glad you guys joined me tonight. I'll be back tomorrow night. Hopefully, there'll be some more news, talk about. Maybe I'll look into see what's going on in the convention scene. There might be some stuff going on there. But until tomorrow, guys, bye.